Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table, your Monday morning tabletop gaming news, community, and questions in 10 minutes or less. Today's episode is brought to you by Board Game Atlas, your map to the world of board gaming. Check them out at boardgameatlas.com. I'm your host, Jack, and let's get to the show. Our news section starts tragically because our first news item is that our community is saying goodbye to James Mathe, the owner of Minion Games and the print-on-demand drive-through series, including Drive-Through RPG. I just bought something from Drive-Through RPG like a week ago. This is an incredible loss to this hobby, this industry. He was on the cutting edge of tabletop gaming internet communities like RPG Life and RPGnews.com. Everything from his blog to the conventions he participated in to even the conventions that he created were focused on how to pass information on to tabletop game designers and publishers of all types, of all levels, so that way people could create games for gamers and be enjoyed all over the world. So this is a huge loss to our community. My sincerest condolences to his friends and family. And then next up is a different kind of sad news, or maybe it's positive news, depending on how you look at it. It has a positive outcome, at least, because UK Games Expo, which just recently happened, had to kick out one of their volunteers after they had sexually violent material in an RPG they were running as an event at the convention without giving any sort of warning of that content being involved. So as soon as they caught wind of this, they ended the event. They made sure that he was kicked out. They posted a post where they profusely apologized for any of the material that was covered there. They clarified that even if that were made explicitly clear that sexually violent content would be in there, that they would not have allowed it, and they have gone out of their way to apologize to anyone that was involved, which was absolutely the right thing to do. Now, when you're at home, you do you. I mean, I'm not going to say that you have to police your content in any specific sort of way, because I believe that there's all kinds of stories to be told. But when you're participating with other people in the public, people who you don't know, or even people that you do know, be aware that there are going to be things that some people aren't comfortable with. Make sure that they are comfortable with the material that you're going to be presenting. And before you're like, yo, the PC police have come in, there is a difference between something being just kind of suggestive and something being explicitly sexually violent. Use some common sense and be a decent human being. Good on UK Games Expo for taking these steps, and I hope all conventions would follow suit. Whew, and then bringing us over into the announcements, where we have much less tense news. We have Ravensberger announcing a Quest for El Dorado standalone expansion. This is called the Golden Temples, and we know nothing about it other than it's a standalone expansion, so it can be combined with Knizia's previous hit game, The Quest for El Dorado. I forgot the name there for a second. And then Renegade has announced Icarus, a DM-less cooperative storytelling game. And I've seen a couple of these recently, and I'd like to know more because I haven't played any, and I'm not as experienced in RPGs as I'd like to be. I'm starting to dabble a little bit more, including some stuff on this channel, if you want to know about a little something something. But of course, I'm intrigued, but how does it work in the RPG space? Do you have a way of creating compelling stories? Is there a reasonable adversary that you're trying to overcome in the story? How does that actually function? If I get a chance, I'd love to check out this game and tell you all about it. In the meantime, you tell me about your experience. And then Gray Fox is announced After the Empire and Gem Hens. After the Empire is a worker placement tower defense game, which sounds really cool because I love worker placement, and I haven't really found a good board game tower defense game. What's up with that? Like, it seems like such a no-brainer. I know there's been some good stabs at it, but nothing really scratches that itch. And then Gem Hens looks like it's going to be in their social sloth line. They're more family-oriented type of games, and it's going to be where you're farming chickens to get jeweled eggs. The components look really cool. And then Fantasy Flight Games announced Dead of Night, an Arkham Horror 3rd Edition expansion with new scenarios and new characters, which seems to be what the people crave. If only we had new artwork, because I notice FFG is really relying on pulling from their existing Lord of the Rings artwork and Journeys of Middle-earth, and their existing Arkham Asylum and Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror artwork for even more Cthulhu H.P. Lovecraft-based games. But still, it's always exciting to get more content, and I know people have been really excited for more 3rd edition stuff. I haven't actually played 3rd edition. I love Eldritch Horror. Arkham feels a little dated these days. I'll have to get around to 3rd edition at some point. And that brings us to our highlights. And today, just today, as of recording this, I was talking with Jerry Hawthorne of Plaid Hat Games, the designer of Mice and Mystics, as well as a ton of other games. But I was talking to him primarily about Aftermath, which is the upcoming Plaid Hat game. We've talked about it for a while on this channel, but one of the things that I wanted to focus on with Jerry, because he is such an experienced game designer when it comes to taking story and facilitating story through gameplay, not just thematic elements, but actual storytelling, I wanted to ask him how he chooses to balance the story elements and specific mechanics that apply to that help facilitate it. And how do you try to prevent yourself from having those new, unique mechanics become intrusive to the actual story itself? Because you don't just want to have to pick up a rule book in the middle of an engrossing story all the time. So here's what Jerry had to say about it.
I was just writing a scene for my Stuffed Fables expansion the other day, and I was thinking about this very thought where I thought to myself, I'm trying to tell this one simple scene, and if I was making a video game, it'd be super easy to do, But I want to have these characters have to. I don't want to give away too much, but I want these characters to have to float on birthday cakes down a river made of discarded soda pop, right? And yeah, but you wouldn't believe how much space on my page is being taken up by stupid little rules that need to be there to cover what if that, what if this, what if that, what if this, and it's just it gets to be so obnoxious sometimes that it's pulling away from the story, and then I have to scrap it and think, okay, how can I approach this scene, still convey the same kind of drama and the same kind of fun that I want to convey, but do it in a seamless way like they would in a video game where you don't have to teach anybody anything. It's just there and you do.
Thank you so much to Jerry for coming on to the show. If you want to watch the full interview where we get into everything having to do with Aftermath, the Mice and Mystics movie, Jerry's origin at working for Plaid Hat Games, as well as some really cool sounding stuff that they got in the future, then stay tuned to this channel. I'll have that up later on this week. As always, I like to leave you all with a question, and we've talked about conventions a couple times on today's episode. We talked about James Mathe and his participation in conventions. We talked about UK Games Expo, and even as we record this right this second, it is Origins. And while I love these bigger conventions, I want to know, what are some of the conventions that you hold most near and dear to your heart? Are they the big Gen Con level conventions, or are they small little local conventions? Tell me about what your experiences are at them and what you like best at a convention. What sort of events you like? Is it the games that you're playing? Is it the participation of all sorts of companies? Is it checking out new games? Is it just like an event that you go to with some friends every single year? Oh yeah, while we're on the topic of conventions, I'll be at PAX Unplugged this year, so look forward to that. I hope to see you. And that is going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Cardboard Herald. Thank you to Board Game Atlas for supporting the show. Find them at boardgameatlas.com. And that is it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to end it today, so I'll just say thanks again for watching. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald. I'll talk to you next week. Doesn't help that I snapped with two hands, because those could be slightly off in and of themselves, so. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.